4 p.m.
It do be.
It looks like the gang's all here. Yo, what up, Automistic? Nice of you to stop by. How you been, bud? I think we're still posting in general chat for text responses. That's what you're trying to do. I feel like we should make a chat for these.
I think general's better because it gives people, anyone who's just in Discord's going to see that we're doing a stage. Because I didn't know what stages were until Keiko mentioned them, and I think a lot of people
Right.
might be in that same boat. So just having them in general is gonna just people are gonna be like, "What's going on? Why is everybody talking?"
All right. Well, the event went live, so we'll give it like a couple minutes, and then we'll pop off.
Can we set up SMS? Wait, SMS means text alerts, right?
Yeah.
You don't want text alerts, just
He
like
wants
phone,
text alerts.
just like a phone alert saying that we're going live. Or does that mean? I don't actually know.
Well, text alerts is like, I don't
I
know.
just
When
mean-
you think about like alerts nowadays, it seems like pretty invasive to give text alerts. At least personally.
No. That's what Fresh said. He's asking for SMS alerts.
Oh.
And I'm just curious. You literally mean SMS alerts, or does that just mean like a notification on your phone
Don't
saying that
fall
someone
for
went
it.
live?
It's bait.
I got baited.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
You guys just
I
lost
got baited.
neutral. It's about drive. It's about power. True.
Empower.
It's
Men are
about
from
power.
Mars, but I'm from Venus.
What's up, guys? Welcome.
Hey.
We're just giving it a minute or two here for letting people come in if they would like to, and we're going to be talking about quite a bit of stuff. It's a lot to just kind of go over as like an index, but to give a short rundown, I'm gonna give a brief like history into how like the media of this studio has developed up until now, and we're gonna talk about what each of us does. We're gonna try to do our best to answer as many questions as we can. I know the other stages that we've done have not been very good about that, so we'll see what we can do. We'll talk about some socially driven events we might be, having laid up. We'll have some teasers, primarily something that we can't show yet, but it's exciting news. If it's not going to bore you guys into sleep, then I could also talk about media strategy, like social media strategy stuff, but that's only I'm going to do on like request. Some stuff we have cooking up and what we'd like to do if we're having any downtime from like our primary projects. And lastly, get some ideas from you guys about things that you would like to see. So that's a very shortened version of what we're going to do.
Yeah.
But we can go ahead and get started if we would like to.
Yeah, for those of you just tuning in, we're the most exciting, interesting, and important department on the team, as well as the strongest.
Okay, all right. Most handsome, man. I don't know maybe about that, but
media team solos the rest of the team.
Okay.
Best players. Forgot about that.
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
So, Blondie, if you would like to come up, you can, but you don't have to. All good. So I'm going to give a history rundown here, essentially, of how the game has evolved with its media over time. And this might end up being a couple minutes. I'm not exactly sure, but I want to try and paint a clear picture as I can, because I think maybe portions of this, there may have been times in the past when things did not exactly make sense. Like, why are we doing certain things? And there's always context on both sides. And sometimes even more sides than that of a situation and why it unfolds in a certain way. So, yeah. So I guess in an attempt to like keep this under a huge essay, I'll like minimize as much as I can, but keeping the relevant and important aspects accessible, like to the best of my ability. So, having started over a year or so ago, I think it might even be closer to a year and a half now, there have been some immense changes to media, but especially the studio and its vision overall. Before I go any further, if there's anybody here that's unaware already, I'm House, the media lead for the team, and with me I have Axie and Shiggy as well, and we'll have a couple more of the media guys in here as well, I believe. Yeah. Here's Blondie and Forlom and whatnot. So I'll have them talk about what they do as well, so we can get more familiar. But I can comfortably say that there have been several, perhaps even uncountable, like moments in which attempting to do my job like resulted in a loss of understanding simply because of the changing winds that were the elements of the shifting studio, most all being out of my control or jurisdiction. But more often than not, that's natural in an environment like this and shouldn't be something we shy away from when thinking back on what we learned from the experience. Dealing with work frustrations can be very difficult to navigate because the nature of the problem often orbits a bigger picture inhibitor, keeping your job. So while sharing some of this, it might seem initially like even bashing a little bit, but by nature, it's definitely not that. I just want to paint a clear picture and hopefully even share some of the learnings, like from the set challenges that we've had along the way as we go. So I started out as an editor, and to be honest, there are certainly aspects of doing that in which I miss big time, like turning on some jams, grinding out a fat project for 8 hours, and then having it all shiny and done to show for my work at the end of the day. Now I can have meetings from like 10 a.m. until evening, but sometimes not feel that same way because I don't have lots to show for it the same way that I used to. So that's an interesting adjustment. But since then, I've done many other things up until this point and spent a lot of time building other people up, whilst trying to handle my own projects, provide direction, etc. But one thing I can definitely say confidently is that I had no idea what accepting like this opportunity of a job would entail. And while that's half the fun, it's not short of challenges to overcome. So the history of like where we came from, if you guys have been a part of the Discord or the community for a long while, there have been some rough patches that we've gone through, and we've always figured it out and we've come out of it better. When I started, there were two things I found out pretty quickly. The there were some people that were trying to like handle the social media at the time, but got really frustrated and ended up stopping. And Keiko had a weird way of doing things back then. To be more specific, he desired full control of what was happening without taking the responsibility for the negative impacts of the media he was contributing to outputting at that current time. Emphasis on current time, because as we learned together, things have gotten drastically better. That's not an issue anymore. But this combination concocted an immensely frustrating environment in which I did my best to fight tooth and nail for like half a year, start filtering out what needed to go and start working towards outputting higher quality imaging and messaging. But of the obstacle course that the venture was, there was light at the end of the tunnel, and have since been able to push for better opportunities and the engagement that follows. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. So, I mean, what exactly did I do? Well, I mean, I wrote up an entire 8 to 9 page thing, media strategy thesis / fancy words, insert here, and directed the path towards success stuff. It also managed to filter out the pictures of Zoo with hairy feet and Raymer's cursed arms that had previously been so freely posted on our open Twitter timeline. That while this may seem like an extreme and targeted scenario in which I happen to hold some spite against, that's not the case. But unfortunately, it's just a case amongst many. Now, while there is certainly something big to be said about running media in a way that harnesses lots of inside jokes and acts less suit and tie, which is certainly, personally, my favorite way to do so for sure. It wasn't hitting the mark, and there were people in our Discord and on our social platforms often giving thoughtful feedback on the issue, and it took a while to take care of. But now we're in an awkward spot of having it in a better place, but not using it to what it could be used for, and that's another can of worms. But anyways, while it was nice at the time, I unfortunately, or not I, it unfortunately did not stick past several months for a number of reasons, which I'll share. But however, remember each iteration past the first is most often greater than the last. So while it certainly was an improvement to what it was at the time, it was not a Nobel Prize, work of art, and I won't pretend that it should have been. Perhaps even if it had been executed on the dot, it may not have had like the performance changes that we desired to make overall, but we don't know. Um, but to get into a bit more of the juice of interesting stuff, there was no shortage of rapid change within the studio, sometimes drastic even, that altered like entire paths or outlooks towards our own work perspectives and the pipelines that were involved. So, this isn't unexpected of a game at this stage. So it's not a complaint, not at all. Just something that happened. And this comes along with things like it made it incredibly difficult to do my job. And I know that there are people in the studio that have felt the same way. And while I do like challenges, sometimes perhaps even to like a slightly masochistic degree, like playing Doom Eternal on Nightmare mode and dying over and over again. This wasn't something that I was like professionally or emotionally prepared for, and had made like intense growth adjustments to accommodate to. And I know there's lots of people on the team that have had to do that too.
You have a background in doing anything other than like editing? Like, have you ever done management stuff before? Have you ever done anything? Because your current role is vastly different than what you were hired to do, right?
Yeah, and it's way different.
So for
um,
reference, like what you're doing right now for us, and I know you're going through these steps, but what you're doing right now is not sitting down and editing every single day. It's really,
no,
really figuring out what our direction is. Like it's
yeah,
heavily involved in that, which is interesting because you're not programming or designing the game, but you are completely showing what our outwards appearance of where we're going and what we've been doing is, which is huge.
yeah. Well, so there are so many challenges that come along with that, and I mean, like, sure, yeah, you can say like, yeah, that's what I do, but I obviously can't do it without the help of everyone else. That's when it really comes together, and I could sit here for hours and just talk about like the learnings of just really weird things that you run into. But that'd be I don't know if it'd be boring, but it would be taking up all our time. But to answer your question, I don't have an extensive background. I did do some management. I have about 7 or so years of like doing theater experience. I did um, quite a few productions. I did also did tech production for it and stuff like that. So, but in terms of like management or direction, it was just a lot of creative outlets like like that, on the side, but not like a job that I could put on like a resume, I suppose you could say. So, a lot of it's just been learning as I go. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that happen which like bring a ton of self-confidence issues and not feeling good about like the work you do. But like I said, that's like another can of worms. Like so up until sometime like 2 quarters or so ago, there wasn't much structure like within the studio compared to what you would see on the inside of a big studio, And while that's not a fair comparison because we aren't a large brand studio, it's just like a point of reference for people who know, that's all. And while this will also present its own set of challenges to overcome, I'm like increasingly enthusiastic about overcoming these than the prior. So to just close this out, like so we're like, where does that leave us current day? Well, we're looking into getting some help with our social media, which is really exciting because I really don't like doing it, but we have to do things we don't like a lot of the time. Um, Big shout outs to all the lads for helping. But honestly, huge shout outs to everyone here. Like I said, the media lads for supporting the studio, myself amongst all the chaos. We hunkered down and withstood the storm to get where we are today. And no less thanks to Keiko himself for, helping where he could and been dealing with the storm himself, but a different angle of it. And while our relationship as coworkers has ups and downs, we've always put taking care of each other first, which is honestly, it's something to just look at and be like, wow, that's awesome. Like no matter the problem at hand or its severity. And because of that, I know we can continue to grow together and make some badass stuff for you guys. Well, most of what I've said here was like, I mean, yeah, I realized it was mostly oriented at myself and my experience, but I was definitely not the only one to either overcome the challenges or just face them head on. And but that said, I felt more comfortable sharing them from my perspective rather than speaking on others' behalf, as we did get through them together, and we'll continue to do so.
And
Um,
so
yeah,
what you're referencing a lot of here is we're talking about when a lot of us came into this, there wasn't really a solid media team. Like when you got hired onto it, was it just you? Were you the only editor? Was Ollie working as an editor? Do
yeah.
we have
So pretty much how that goes, I'll keep it like a paragraph here. Is that Ollie was the solo editor for the team and made pretty much all of the trailers and stuff back at that point. And then I got hired on because I was doing like streaming and stuff for the game, and Keiko liked what I was doing because I made like the Erta guide and stuff like that. Now, I admittedly looking back on that guide, it was quite low quality, but I mean, it was I went out and did it, so there's something to be said about that. But and then I just helped him, and I noticed that there wasn't much structure or like processing or pipeline and all this kind of organizational stuff that's needed for growth. And so I just did my best to go out of my way to make that stuff, and have since been handling that. But yeah, but yeah, so I've gone on long enough. That's the history, and there have been some power struggles, like over the media and like trying to get it under control, because there was a lot of learnings that we had internally as a team.
There's a big battle between me and House over who gets to lead us, and I ended up losing, unfortunately.
they
House
both trained
solos.
really hard though.
All
It's
right.
just House needed a better
He
coach.
beat me in one hit.
Yeah, sucker punched him actually before the battle.
He fared him.
But like I
No.
said, there's usually two or more sides of context to a situation. It's important to remember that when something initially makes sense to us, or it doesn't make sense. So yeah, if there was something in the past media wise that we did and it just didn't seem to make sense, there was probably some really difficult thing we're trying to figure out as we go. And part of that's learning and part of it's growing. So
A huge amount of it was just that when a lot of us came into this, there wasn't really an organization or structure. It was just the media team or whoever was there, and other people on the team that wanted to help kind of had access to all the social media platforms and would just, there wasn't
It
like a
was,
written down goal of
yeah.
this is what we're going to do, this is what we will be doing in 6 months, and this is how we're going to be releasing these videos on what platforms,
yeah,
budgets.
there's a lot of weird
There's a
things.
lot of stuff to this that has to
Yeah.
go into it.
When there's like 10 people, it's easy to just be like, oh yeah, I'll pick that up. But like the bigger the team gets, like we can't just have Ollie Wonder doing all of the media stuff all the time, right?
And this
Like,
guy they're referring to also does all the payroll. Like
yeah.
like it's
Yeah, yeah.
it's kind of, things go in weird directions when it comes to this. And so we've
In
been
summer, everybody wore like 6 hats. And now, like, it's a lot more spread out and everybody can focus in on their little specific thing.
Yeah, that
Right.
is actually, I mean, that was an analogy, but that is incredibly accurate. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, I'd like to maybe just have each person talk about what they do, and maybe like what they'd like to bring to like the media this year. So, Axie, maybe if you'd like to start.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm an editor. A lot of you guys know that. If you've seen a video since the Valor release, I've probably made most of it. And like I want the video quality to go up and up and up each time because like I'm still learning. I only started editing like less than a year ago, for personal, like my personal channel, right? And got hired with like 4 months of experience.
do
And
you want to explain
since
how you got hired?
I got
What that came
hired because I have a man on the inside.
Oh,
pure,
wow.
pure nepotism.
from? Nepotism. Your dad owns Microsoft.
No, I got hired because I did HACF and the production was just good because I cared a lot about that project and wanted the combo contest to look fucking good. And
HACF was awesome.
HACF was good. HACF 2 was good. HACF 3 will
When
never
will it
happen.
be? Oh.
Got them.
Will never happen.
Got all their hopes up for a second. Yeah, I know. Poor Liscano. Yeah, it was scuffed. But anyways, like now I'm trying to like up the quality everywhere. Like I really like not media stuff, but like conveyance in videos. Like I like to get messages across in smart ways other than like wall of text, and that's really what I like to do, and everything, and find like neat ways to get my point across without just yelling it at someone, right? So whenever
Who's
I
your favorite YouTubers that you look to for inspiration when you're working on stuff?
Disrupt TV is an easy pick. Disrupt is so solid. Like if you guys haven't seen Disrupt TV, go watch it. It's like short mini documentaries on like cybersecurity, but the editing, dude, is so cash. There's another one. There's like Funk TV does really solid work
Yeah.
with editing, or Funky or whatever. Yeah, Jaka is a big inspiration. Forlo.
Orlo.
Forlo's Gappa videos get me through hard times. There's always one I send you, Luke, that I'm like, the editing is so good. I can't remember what it was.
I'll scroll back through our chat.
I remember you guys
House,
talking about what up?
what's your favorite YouTubers? Who do you watch?
Oh, geez.
PewDiePie.
I think it really shows someone's yeah, for reals. I think it's a
Honestly,
really good
dude,
indicator of what people like and what they enjoy doing, and when it comes to the rest of their life.
I love Donkey. Probably. I mean,
Good man.
Donkey is is the goat, and I mean, there's a couple others that I really like too, but I think probably
See,
my favorite.
we're gamers just like you.
Blondie, you want to talk a little bit about?
What, my favorite YouTube? I think I'll
Who's your
pass on
favorite
that.
YouTubers?
Oh,
No,
okay.
no,
Right
no,
on.
not that. I'm a basic B when it comes to YouTube videos. I watch a lot of big people, you know, like
PewDiePie.
Markiplier, PewDiePie. Sure, yeah, I'll watch some of that. Sure, but no, I like in terms of editing, I like Russian Badger. Just like I'm big on like the comedy, which is funny because I like to watch horror YouTubes, but
Those two can go hand in hand.
yeah, usually.
So I think what's interesting here is that even though we have people like we're all media team, and you think of that as being like we just edit the videos and put them on YouTube, each of us does kind of have like a role that we split into. Like House does a lot of this conveyance and movement between like these big working parts to make sure stuff is going in the right direction and staying on schedule, and there's no like blind side, we need to have a patch out tomorrow sort of stuff, which used to be a problem. And so when he's talking about a lot of these issues we've had in the past, it's been just getting these things organized so that we're not like, hey, a patch is coming out in 2 days or something, or we need to get something done right away and let our community know about it. Because media is more than just videos. It's social media, conveyance to the groups. This stuff here, although Keiko's idea to set up town halls, it's us who really put in the stuff to make it become what it is, and we're trying to grow it and make it more consistent and have like a schedule and guests to have on from the team and talk about it and stuff like that. My name's Shiggy. I'm Luke. I post Ezzy reacts all the time.
What?
My my
That's his official position.
that's it. Yeah, I'm just here to post Ezzy reacts. I tried to get that out before the last patch. I was posting Ezzy reacts for like 2 weeks because I was super hyped for a rework for those new skills. But I spend a lot of my time here editing, but also a lot of time getting stuff organized. I really like tech YouTubers, and I watch a lot of stuff related to that. So I've spent the time to get together like a database where we can store all of our assets, and a place where we can have all of our video projects. So if someone's computer goes down, someone else can work on it. A lot of that
Oh, yeah.
redundancy and tech side of stuff, I guess, if you will.
It's actually a huge deal.
Yeah, before just for reference, we had these file servers and stuff set up because all of us are working remote. None of us none of us work at the same office. We're all working remote. Now me and Axie live like down the street from each other, but even still that doesn't help when we need to get assets to Blondie or someone like that. So a lot of my job's been getting that organized so that we don't have to share files via like Google Drive, right?
Yeah, the way that works is actually really cool. I mean, to just put in very simplistic terms, each of us has access to an active Dropbox, and you can have a virtually infinite amount of people that have, access to it, but they have to link up to it if they want to put things or take them out. And if anybody puts anything into it, it live updates it for everybody else. So it's like a live cross save database. So if you guys ever have like a project or something you're trying to work with somebody else with, then it's very, very nice to have. Highly recommend.
No waiting
So-
for uploads and downloads on Google Drives, things like that.
And that's not just for us either, right? Like that's for looking outwards towards, like stream tool stuff and like stuff setting up for tournaments. So, doing stuff for that. I think, there's possibility there too, so that it's not just, our thing. It could be something that anybody else.
We are pushing to get assets available to the public. I'm pushing
Just an
personally.
idea,
Yeah, I'm pushing personally to get some game assets out there. So if people want character models to make videos with and things like that, we'll see if it happens. And then just in general, we're working on getting things for overlays, things for like showing characters' health and resources and stuff like that available to YouTubers that just want to make their own videos, even if it's like if you want to make a tutorial for a character or something like that. So we've been mostly Axie has been making a lot of these assets, and our goal is to get it so that our community, you guys, people who are listening, have sort of some of the same tools that we have to make videos and can make higher quality stuff themselves. It's not all there yet, but we are getting there. And like I said, my personal crusade is to push to get more assets released from the game specifically, but we just kind of have to see how that goes.
Yeah, so if you guys have any questions up until this point, definitely let us know. We can even bring you in, no hesitation there. Until then, we see something. We can talk about a little bit of the stuff that we have cooking up and what we would like to do if we have downtime from primary projects. So as you guys saw, we do have the character spotlights that are going to be coming out, and we're pretty stoked about that. We just finished
If you don't
all
know
of
about
the
those,
revamp tutorials too.
if you don't know what that is, it's a video we just dropped like a couple hours ago. In case you missed it.
Yeah, definitely check it out. Send it to that friend that needs it to play Rushdown.
Are we doing one for every character? We're gonna try.
Yeah, yeah, we're doing it for every character.
What do we got? We got 11 to do.
Yeah. Well, we have some other stuff in the pipeline that we have to do at the same time, and so it slows it down. We were going to have 2 a week, but we had to slow it down because of some new projects that hit the decks. But it's definitely going to be consistent. That was our main thing. We'll make it consistent and thorough.
Yes,
Yeah.
and one of our big challenges that, well, at least I guess this is a big challenge for myself personally. When we're going through and making videos like this, like say a character spotlight, and we want to make one for every single character, a lot of big companies, when they have media teams, we were talking about the 6 hats earlier, right? They have somebody who does everything. So they'll have a person who writes scripts. They'll have a person who like does the research and gives that research to the person writing the script. They'll have an editor that does it afterwards. Things like this. With a lot of these, we're kind of one person does all of these things. So if one of us is working on a spotlight for a character, we will be reaching out to do research, figure out this character, make sure we understand them well, talk with the best players on these characters. And then we'll also be working on writing a script and talking to someone on the team who has a lovely voice that would be Toggle, by the way, to record themselves and use for the video. We have to work on the editing as well. All of these things kind of go together. So it ends up being pretty big undertakings for each one since we're not dividing out the work, but it also makes it really interesting because you get a chance to do a project start to finish and it is not repetitive. It's very fun.
Yeah, editing, like the act itself, I don't mind at all. Like I'd prefer if that was my entire job, but like part of the stopgap for like getting content out is getting footage is like the huge thing. And that's why we have Forlo. Forlo's like job is to go and get us footage. Like we give him like a bounty list and have him go find the stuff we need.
It's
whether
amazing.
Yeah,
I don't know how he
It
does
is
it.
amazing.
he's an expert at it and he likes it, which is weird. But that's like honestly probably the hardest thing. Like all the stuff you see in the videos probably has like, I don't know, 30 tries behind getting it to look right. And
Yeah,
like,
there's so many challenges with the camera. So like the recording, so the game, has its cracks, and even in trying to, that's one of those things we have to try and overcome is the very restrictive like camera controls and stuff for recording and making the trailers. There's a lot of like manipulating you have to do in order to make something look a particular set of ways. And then when you combine that with the fact that like when new patches come out and more of our camera functions break like consecutively, then our it becomes even more difficult for us to record and make things. So that can be sometimes very frustrating.
You guys are tired of like stuff breaking every patch, I'm sure, but you have no idea how like what happens behind the scenes when we're trying to get footage and like we don't have access to like probably 8 out of 10 of our camera functions right now, and we have to like cheese it. You want to know
yeah,
Easter egg?
Go ahead.
The pans for the patch preview were certainly something.
Yeah. The like all the in the patch recap thing when we were showing off the stages, those are like 3 different clips stitched together. And like if you look closely, whenever it zooms out on the stage, it's actually playing in reverse. Like if you look at Pyro Station, the steam is going into the pipes. Because in order to get that shot to work, we had to like do the opposite and then reverse the video. Because otherwise it like doesn't work at all. Like we straight up could not use it.
If anyone out there's ever tried to record something themselves in the game, we have the same tools, except a lot of the times we're recording on patches that aren't out yet and stuff is more broken, so sometimes the tools don't work. So we have the same or less tools a lot of the time, which just means we have to basically learn some recording or some like editing wizardry to make some of this stuff happen.
We have a lot of tricks. Like
some
we don't have
voodoo.
We don't have like camera pans, so we turn a character invisible and have him run to the side, and we edit out the dust cloud in post, like stuff like that. It's like really common.
Green screen out characters so the backgrounds match and stitch
Yeah,
stuff
exactly.
together. Yeah. We're pushing to get a stream tool as well because that stuff would go a long ways for all of us.
Yeah, so we had some cool ideas too. Like we were gonna do. If you guys have been around for a long time, I used to edit and put together like play reviews, and Axie was actually looking at making some of them, except in taking more time on them than I did, making a really high quality. I think it'd be super cool, but it just won't fit the pipeline. So there's like a bunch of cool things that we could do like that if we could. Which leads me to me asking if there's a particular like series or I mean if you have, were you about to say?
I have one like 60% done. There's
a
a play review that we like. It's all but canned. Like I might do it separately, like on my own time. But for like our main goal, like we have to put it aside probably for a minute, which basically means it's canned because it'll be outdated by the time we have time to work on it again.
That's something else too. That's hard.
But
having to regather so many assets because the like visuals change so often.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So if I'm doing a play review and it's like 3 months old, then it's like it doesn't even match the current game. Like this good stuff the player's doing is kind of impossible now.
Which is why, even though we're kind of video editors, I say kind of because we're talking about multiple hats, one of the things we are pushing for is to get people other than ourselves who want to make YouTube content and hook them up with a lot of the stuff that they need, whether it's like if it's assets or if there's something you need out of the game, trying to get that information available, because there's a lot of videos that we want to do that we just purely don't have the bandwidth for because we're working on other projects.
And there's also like the worth considering, like the more stuff we do, like if we do like a play review, then that is a niche that we are filling that the community could. Like there's content that like people have the opportunity to make that if we like make in-house, then we are like, I don't know, taking the views that someone else could get or whatever, right?
If someone does want to make one of those videos, you guys are always free to post it here. And we will probably push it too, because like I said, we're media team, not just editors. We're trying to get all the media out there.
If you guys need any assets, let us know, because we can like direct you to the public database, or if you need something specific, we can get you that.
We should be able to shoot
pretty
some
easily.
sauce over. Yeah.
I don't like that phrase, but okay. Not a fan.
Fair.
Shooting sauce.
So I can't really say much about it, but you guys might be able to see that if you go to the events for next week, we have a lore some lore updates. So we're excited to show that. I was going to maybe tease a little bit more of the idea of what's going on with that, because it's pretty like big picture, but I'm gonna leave it for then. So if we're talking about like some of the socially driven events that we're thinking of, there are some really cool stuff that we could do, like HACF. So let me say that if there is a event or something that you would like to make, and you feel like you alone could not like make the production quality very well, or you know what I mean, like if there's something that you feel like you need help with, you can reach out and we'll see what we can do for you, and and we'll promote it 100% as well. What were you gonna say, Axie?
Nothing. You said HACF, and I was like, hold on, what? I thought you were saying we were gonna release HACF for a second.
No. Yeah, the branding's just out in the open now.
It's public domain.
I've been working on editing. Omer says I've been working on editing for a month now. I've been down to help pull some content. Yeah, I mean, if you have something that you're working on, I mean, we could talk about it for sure.
And if
So
you post stuff
BSMD,
here,
yeah. One thing I was thinking about when it comes to content, I feel like what is a barrier to some people is the fact that the game looks very intimidating. When I think of other fighting games and their trailers and such, I feel like I don't see them showcase the absolute most difficult, sickest, insane combos, pushing the game to its limit. I mainly see supers, nice animations, more simple and visually pleasing moves. Although things like the intro combo to the Seth video was awesome, a part of me can't help but think there are people who will see that and think, I will never be that good and will get bullied by lab monsters if I were to play. Yeah, so this is a very interesting... So this has been something that we've been trying to tackle for a long time. And this goes much, much deeper than just like that particular look at it, though it is a very wise look at it for sure. The issue goes as deep as player retention and what that means within the game and its community. Like, what are the consequences of doing stuff like that? Funnily enough, we actually just had a marketing meeting this morning. We were talking about the different ways and what works the best. So we're actually putting together like 7 to 8 different approaches to ads and collecting the information from each one to see like what works best from like the same demographic essentially. Well, you're absolutely right. It depends largely at the demographic that we're trying to target. For example, if you were to try to show like a League of Legends player, like that intro to the like what you were referring to, then yeah, it might have an effect of like, whoa, that's crazy. I don't know what's going on. But if you were to show that to like a melee player, then typically data says that they're much more inclined to be interested at it, and so there's like these really weird things to take into account. And
right, we're casting like the idea is we're casting a wide net with like every video because we kind of have to. Like we can appeal to like people who like haven't played the game, and that's what we try to do. Like if you watch the video, there's like demonstration stuff where it's like really simple or like a 1 or 2 piece combo, right? Like or 2 or 3 like hits or whatever. And we try to like move between that and then like more advanced stuff and then back to it, like bounce all around. That way there's like the idea is we kind of have like steps to it or whatever. Like here's like just starting out, here's mid-level, here's higher level, and like we also try to maintain like the same energy throughout the videos, which I'll take your feedback into consideration because that's a very great suggestion, especially if we're aiming these more at newer players, right? Like they're just getting started videos.
Something that's difficult too is that the game at its current state offers mostly what we're trying to show, and we do have systems that we're trying to build in the background, which I'm not going to give any spoilers, but will help a lot in making stuff like that more oriented towards what you're thinking of.
The new player experience is big on all of our minds, and we want to make it easier for new players to get into the game and enjoy it, and we want to make it appealing for new players without destroying the image we have of being a really combo heavy fun game with Spark and things like that. So it's a fine line that we have to balance, but
Yeah,
what you're
it's a
talking about is
balancing
the same thing we're talking about ourselves. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yep.
We hear you, and we are actively discussing it.
Yeah, for sure. It's hard. Regarding the slower paced parts of the video, I really like the latter half of the demonstration for that very reason. Doesn't help that I'm bad at the game, but I want to get better. I personally am not intimidated at all. Oh, that's good to hear. But
Right.
I am also pretty bad now. I mean, you want to catch some games, we can.
Yeah, on the team, some people that are on this team are crazy good at Rushdown and crazy good at other fighting games. And then some people are not hired for their
Art
skill.
team.
Yeah, the
Why
art,
are you,
the art
why are you
team is
talking about me
amazing.
like that? Why are you talking
Yeah,
about me? That shouldn't-
Blondie.
Yeah, so each of us come from different backgrounds of playing it. Myself personally, I used to play a lot of PM back in the day. A lot of Squirtle and PM. Some people came from playing a lot of Melee. Some people came from just all sorts of different games. So it's really tough for, like, that's a huge part of when we're doing research on spotlights and things like this, is to ourselves understand the game at that level and then be able to convey that to people of different levels that are either new to the game or are wanting to learn a new character, and show kind of what character they think is going to be appealing to themselves. Something that looks simpler and hits harder, something that's really combo heavy and complicated. We want to have something for everybody and a video that applies to everyone. And until we get into some really complex algorithm for sending targeted ads or whatever to different people, I don't even know how you go about that. But unless that's possible, we kind of have to cast a wide net and think about how to do this.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
had said previously, there are so many small things that come up, and there's really the only way to really go through it is to talk about every single point individually, and I take a really really long time. But I really wish that I could talk about some of the stuff that we have cooking up in the background, because it would help answer this question you have additionally, but I cannot, unfortunately.
Yeah.
As time goes on, though, that's why we're starting to host these events. So as we figure out things and come up with better plans, we can talk to the community about it and actually, like, kind of one-on-one show, here's what's going on at the team and this is what we're doing, rather than just having a surprise video once a month or something like that, because
Right.
we want to stay in contact with our community. It's just, there's a lot of moving parts, and that's what takes up all a house's time is making sure moving parts are moving correctly.
Writing emails, man.
Ooh.
Yeah, I like
Email.
doing these stages too. These stages are great, and it's like a little mini podcast for each department to like talk about it.
Oh yeah, that's an interesting thing. I mean, it's totally irrelevant to the topic at hand, naturally. A long time, so there is a professionally, you guys may end up running into a situation in your work environment where, and I'm not targeting anyone here at all. That's not what I'm trying to say. But there will be situations where if you're talking to people, whether they be your superiors, your coworkers, or perhaps even people that you're in charge of, whatever the case may be, if you're talking to this demographic of people and bring up a fantastic idea, then that idea is not a good idea until that person has thought of that same idea themselves. And
Inception.
so, huh?
You got to do Inception, like the
Yeah,
movie.
yeah, pretty much. And so there's been quite a bit like of that. Like in here, all of us, it's a lot of the time people don't actually realize that's happening, but just because like the perspective of that idea changes or the timing of it changes. But that's something that's really interesting. It can be very frustrating if you don't really know how to address that, because it can feel like you're not appreciated at all.
I used to listen to League of Legends had a podcast, like the actual, like, Riot Games had a League podcast back in 2015, 2016, and it was exactly this structure. And it was fantastic. Well, I mean, I guess it wasn't live. They would pre-record it and then put it up on I think SoundCloud. And I was so disappointed when they stopped doing it, because they had so many really interesting insights into the inner workings of what they were doing. But they would always come with this caveat of, this is what we're thinking about, this is what we're working on, and all of this stuff is just talk. None of this might ever actually come to fruition. Um, this is just us talking about the things we're working on, the things we're passionate about, and the things we're doing. And some of it has since then. Like I remember them talking about a character that deletes terrain in 2015, and they're like talking about how they have a database with all these different idea pools for different characters. And they might never use it. They're not using it actively on any character right now, but it was a cool idea that someone had and that they wanted to put in there just in case someday in the future it would happen. And I think they did end up doing that with dragons, and then they made Talia so she could build walls like years later. And so it's that kind of stuff that we're really trying to push and talk about when we're doing these stages, is just this is what we're up to, this is what we like, and this is what we're hoping to work on. The trouble is that we're a media team, so we're not directly involved with a lot of these other things. So we can only talk about what we know and what we're doing and what we know that we're doing. But we
Right.
can't necessarily talk about what the dev team is currently working on or the art team. You have to tune in next time to see
We're
what's
like
going on with them.
we're like the last ones in line, and if something
Literally,
like
literally.
yeah, so like it goes through like leadership, dev, art, like it goes through all the other departments before hitting us, and like we're kind of just like, hey, go make a video on this. I'm like, okay. We
Yeah,
say
so
okay,
we've
and we
been
do it.
working on getting the structure set up a little better. Again, thank you, House. So that when stuff happens, we kind of know, oh, we might have to make a video about this pretty soon. And it's
Yeah.
awesome, but also it's really hard to contain hype sometimes because
Yeah.
Yeah.
knowing secrets.
But yeah, we have like a bunch of short-term and long-term goals. Like Luke said, like it'd be cool if there was stuff that we're talking about now that you hear in the future. But like for now, like we're working on the spotlights, we're working on ads. Like that's what's going on for us.
And we're working on coming up with a good way to serve ads to people, what platforms people want to see these things on, and
Yeah.
how to do it on each platform individually.
Because our
Which
game is sick. You guys know that. And like we just need more eyes on it. And so, if we knock this out of the park, hopefully we'll get a new batch of fresh
people
meat.
and content and things to
I
increase
don't know.
our production
We should
quality.
be calling it that.
It's just referencing Stitches.
When's the hazing start?
Yeah, I saw an Instagram ad a long time ago that we had done, and that's all I've seen. But again, this is like a whole job in and of
Well,
itself, is to come up with strategies for this stuff.
It's still interesting. So we've done like some stuff in the past. But we've mostly only done Facebook ad campaigns. So this one will be like the first one that we've done, where it's a much larger, like pool of audience, around the same budget, but around this like a different pool. So we'll see how it goes.
Right. And the other challenge that comes in with this is serving a ad on YouTube or a video on YouTube is a completely different format, length, time, all of these different things, how it needs to be structured than putting one on Instagram or on Facebook or on TikTok is a big one that I don't even have a TikTok. So if we decide to serve ads on TikTok, I'm gonna have to do a whole bunch of research myself or hope someone else is a TikTok expert.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
audio transfer over to TikTok is pretty terrible.
Oh, just stuff like that we got to figure out, and then figure out what our demographic is of people that might be interested in this game. Another thing
we
that we
did.
didn't even go ahead.
Oh, what are you gonna say? Something?
I was gonna say another interesting, totally unrelated thing is doing in-person events that we've barely been able to do.
Yeah.
Oh
But
yeah, I forgot about
me and Axie are gonna do one pretty soon here, hopefully.
next week. If
And
anybody's in Seattle, stop by.
ooh,
We used to do more in-person events, and I'm not sure if that will continue, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, we're definitely doing some. We're going to a Project Plus tournament called You're So Mad in Seattle. So if anybody's in that area and like wants to go to that event, play Rushdown with some of the devs.
what we found is that doing in-person events is the best way to advertise because you get to talk to people. I don't know if it's the most profitable way. I don't know about any of that stuff, but it's the most fun for us at the team is to go and just play the game with people in person. Just show people who are already into platform fighters our platform fighter and play with them. And people usually pick it up pretty quick. Oh yeah, 41
we
hours isn't a bad drive.
We did. Oh,
I'm joking, go ahead.
You actually made me think you're being serious there for a second. We did TikTok for a hot minute actually, and like the numbers were really interesting there. So actually, do you remember we were doing like clip the days? Yeah, you remember.
We did clip of the day for about 2 months.
It did pretty well, but
it-
we did that we did the Valora like trailer snippet on there, and it got like 2 views.
yeah, the TikTok like picking up whatever video, like it didn't seem to matter which video it was. Like randomly, it would like I feel like it was TikTok just like dipping its toes in the water because if like a random video would get like a few hundred views and a random video would get like 2 views, and there was no like rhyme or reason to it. It seemed.
Something we should talk about more that I've heard is that TikTok videos, the best way to advertise using TikTok is actually to pay someone who already makes videos to make a video on your content. Like to
Yeah,
give the game
sponsor.
key to someone, or yeah, but rather than actually serving an ad to TikTok directly, because people will just scroll past them, is to put it onto someone who already has a channel, kind of like what Bang used to do with their energy drinks on Instagram, that kind of stuff, like
They do it
just
on
product
TikTok
placement.
now.
Yeah, I'm sure. Again, I don't have it, but I was talking to one of my buddies who uses TikTok an ungodly amount, and that's kind of what he was saying, is that most of the time when people do advertisement, you got to do it like that. It's kind of murky water because you got to be really careful. There's a lot of laws around product placement in videos and things like that. So that's one I kind of want to look into and discuss in the future too, because someone who already gets, say, 10,000 views per video they put up is a lot better of a target and maybe use of your money, depending on what the rates are, than just serving it directly. Also, yeah, I'm in the same spot as you, Jeremy. I don't even have the app. I need my
Yeah.
attention span. It's bad enough.
We don't have like a social media manager. It's just kind of us guys winging it. And so like when it comes to social media, like TikTok, where like none of us use it, we're all bad at it.
Yeah.
I
Which,
do
like,
my best.
yeah, same. We do our best, but like there's like unspoken rules for like every social media, like the proper etiquette, right? And so like if you're not involved on it, like if you're not like a Redditor, you don't know the proper Reddit etiquette.
Remember that
Right?
Silence company or whatever, Silence Corporation? What was that with the crab with the laser eyes a while back? You know what I'm
What?
talking about?
No.
Oh,
Oh, the Silence brand? That thing?
Silence brand. Yeah. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be
Yeah.
that guy. That's
So
the problem, is we want to get our name out there without being that, and it takes a lot of research in order to figure it out, which just, oh man, that almost makes it sound more Silence brandy.
yeah,
But
well,
Yeah.
so there's like a whole bit. I could talk about this for like 15 minutes. About it was part of the thing that I didn't talk about because it's probably gonna bore you guys to death.
Oh no,
But like,
please go on.
the social media. No, I'm not gonna do it. But the social media strategy. There's part of it that's like a whole section's about public perception and like what public perception means and the impact it has is enormous. And there's like a whole bunch of science that goes behind it and how you're supposed to warp it to what you need. And it's a really, I mean, honest, I think it's an interesting topic, but it's very boring to many people. But we don't have a ton of time left here, so I wanted to invite anybody who wanted to come up and speak and maybe just ask some questions.
Yeah, guys, if you have any questions, put them
yeah.
in chat, raise your hand, whatever. Like we'll answer them.
I had
And
said that previously, but yeah, it doesn't need to be a directly media oriented question, though. It would be easier for us to answer. If we can't answer, we will.
Yeah.
But feel free to do that if you'd like.
and if we
It
can
doesn't
try,
have
we
to
can
be
try.
fully formed thought. Like we can just come up here and chill
You'd
with
be
us.
half
We
a
don't have
sentence.
any fully formed thoughts on the stage.
Oh, we're waiting
Tournaments,
for people to
Copium?
set
In
up
our
their own tournaments.
in
We're
our
a
in our
little bit locked
brains.
out. Yeah, go ahead.
There's
brains?
no full thoughts in our brains.
No full
Oh,
thoughts.
I like that because that wasn't a full thought. That's playing into the joke.
You saw what I did there.
That's
I
really
didn't.
smart.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm
Tournaments.
gonna be honest. We don't really have any more talking points here. So if you guys don't have any questions, then we
Well,
are chilling for the most part.
I got a
Yeah.
couple more things I can say until someone comes up. If
Okay.
anyone
Yeah,
if
tread
anyone
water,
has
quick.
anything. Part of it, what I wanted to say was, I mentioned it before, but if people in our community, like we're always on Discord. Someone's always on Discord. If you hit us up, if you've got questions, if you've got like an interesting, like I'm working on this project and I need like this character's health bar or something like that.
Oh yeah. We
That's
have all
stuff that
those
we can
assets.
get to you. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's something we're trying to push to get more assets that even we don't have easy access to our community. Because for me personally, and again, this is me personally, not the whole company, I love seeing like TF2 videos. You know, where Valve has just made everything so that people can just do whatever they want and make videos, even if it's
Source
completely
filmmaker
unrelated.
video.
Yeah, like Source, yeah, that kind of stuff. And I wish that we could do that ourselves, but the thing is everything's way more of an undertaking, and I'm not the person in charge of it. But my goal is that if we get more and more assets available to the public and things that they can play around with, more and more people are going to want to make videos that they find interesting. So yeah, hit us up whenever, even if it's not during one of these. Second of all, tournaments. I don't know much about that at all, but I do know that we, like me and Axie specifically, want to start hosting our own locals around where we live. It's a lot to set up in-person stuff, and I'm not sure if that's what you're referring to or not, but it's a lot to set up in-person stuff, and it's especially hard right now because of regulations, because we live in Washington. So hopefully eventually, but the other thing we're hoping is that we can just push other events that set up to just also host our game. It's just a really complicated thing, and that's not necessarily media team's area. It's not really too much for us to talk on.
Yeah. So, Bobby, tournaments copium. Yeah.
We're not
There-
we're not esports.
There,
So
yeah, there is news for that, and I'm pretty sure there will be a stage. And I think I can say that. Yeah, but
Do we know what
it's
our next stage is?
not yet. Oh, the next stage is going to be lore.
Ooh.
Some of the stuff we have going on.
Ooh, I've seen a little bit of this, and it's exciting. That's next Friday, right? Or is it going to be on Monday?
Yeah, no, it'll be this Friday.
Okay, cool. Cool.
200 sub flex. Got him. Yeah, I think that's more subs than I have on my personal. Is it? Oh, I'm gonna stop though. I'm not gonna ratio anyone.
Oh, darn. Looks like I got 2,000.
No.
Oh no, after that cell loop video.
Dude,
Ah.
I don't know why. That's so weird. I put so much effort into like a bunch of stuff like that, and then I just made one unedited shit post, and it popped off. And I don't. It's just really weird. I don't know.
wait, which video?
The cell loops video. It was a spoof on
yeah,
the
yeah.
Marvel Infinite. If you guys know about that from MVC.
No.
That's House XL on YouTube, everybody.
Okay, dude, stop.
Two-
Stop.
213. I'm just saying.
all of us
that's
have-
all I'm gonna say.
Most of us have YouTube videos. I don't myself. I actually used to work. I help Axie edit some of his videos.
We're all just
And-
content creators that just like found a common thing and then came together to make something.
Yeah. The issue that I always have with so right now, literally as soon as we're done with this, I'm actually going to go back to editing a video that's coming out tomorrow on Axie's channel. And what always happens to me is I could spend literally 60 hours editing a video. I could spend more than that editing a video. It might get 15 views or something. And then literally, like you said, a shit post could get 2,000.
Yeah.
And I am not.
It's one of the gambles, man.
I like to edit. I am not an expert at figuring out how these algorithm stuff works, and it would take a lot of work for me. That's kind of where we're pushing House to take care of some of this stuff for us, because it's hugely important, and it feels like kind of trying to read the bones to get stuff to go through properly. And that's the case when it comes to content that might be directly related to work or for personal channels. And anyone out there who's made YouTube videos or videos on any social media platform, I'm sure understands that struggle.
It feels like hair loss is what it feels like.
I'm sorry. Malding?
Malding?
All right. Are we about through an hour? Are we about to wrap it up?
Yeah, we're pretty much
We have 2 minutes to
through
kill.
here. Yeah, does anybody want to pop up here and talk a little bit, or are we?
Ask us anything. It doesn't even have to be editing related. If you want to ask me to teach you to edit, feel free. The answer is no, but you can ask me anyways.
Wow.
Software.
Yeah.
What software do you use?
I use DaVinci Resolve. It's free, guys, and it's
How
really
long?
powerful.
How long did you work for the company with a free version of DaVinci Resolve before you got
The
the
entire
official
time.
key?
You don't need to buy it. It's good enough.
Pretty much
Yeah.
everything the paid version has that the free version doesn't is just some optimization for rendering faster. There is some other
Honestly-
stuff that's in there, but it's crazy useful.
Omer, the
Just
best
people-
way to just learn how to edit is to just do it.
Yep.
You just got yeah. I mean, there are tons and tons and tons of tutorials that you can like look through. There is something certainly to be said that I think knowing how to use an editing program is about 30% of the challenge, and the other 70% is having the vision in order to do so. So like knowing what would look good where, how to build it from the ground up, past experience, lots of things like that. That's the vision part that gets very, very difficult, and what can be
It depends on what time of day. No. I'm
yeah,
kidding.
it's a very it's kind of hard to explain, but it's one of the biggest stopgaps between professional editors and like intermediate and beginner, just having that vision. Because if you have the experience of just watching a ton of tutorials and you know how to use all the tools, I mean, that doesn't mean at all that you know like where to place them, right? I mean, that analogy has been used for centuries, but you know what I mean. So the best way to learn is to just try and start gathering your style of editing and the vision for what you would like your content to look like, and the knowledge of how the
10,000-hour
tools and how the knowledge of how the tools work will just come along with that. So really it's just drive.
Yeah, it's about drive. It's also about power a lot of the
We're
time.
gonna wrap this up on the hour.
Wow.
Yeah. Wrapping up the stage after 1 hour.
Get me out.
Yeah, like I said, before a year ago, I didn't have any editing experience, and like everything I learned was just self-taught. I didn't go to college or anything like that. I'm one of you guys. I'm one of you blue collar folk.
Interesting.
Martin Sini Pants put out a really good video on his strategy, how he got his YouTube channel to blow up. If any of you guys know who that is,
But didn't Ludwig do the same thing?
he might have. A lot of it's just actually putting in the time to finish videos. Like even if your editing's not great, like just literally doing it. And I still run into this constantly. I spent like 2 hours yesterday trying to learn how to use some tool in DaVinci that I hadn't touched before. But it's like you still just have to finish the video, even if you think it's not that great, and you just keep doing that and rolling it over and over again, and your content will get better over time. And then if it was really bad, you can just unlist them later. Nobody has to know. But at least if you finished it and didn't just give up. Also, there are a lot of people playing. It just depends on the time, and it depends on if they're in like I don't know if anyone's seen the new tool, practice tool, where you can program a bot to do things in response to you doing things. You get a lot of stuff like that too. So it just depends on the time. Look out for streamers and hit them up to play if you want to learn how, because there's a lot of guys out there with metaphys and with streams that will actually teach you if you're new. I think we're actually past time. Anyone else have anything else to say before we wrap it up?
I think we're good. I mean, like I said, we're open to anyone who has some questions, but I think we're pretty much good to go from here.
All right. Well, I don't have the button to end the stage, but if you want to hit that, I can
Yeah,
stop recording
I got
myself.
it. Thank you guys for coming through. I appreciate it. It wasn't exactly, like big state of the game breaking news, but we appreciate you guys coming through. It's nice to talk to you and
Hopefully
have a
look forward to video
conversation from
next
time to
week.
time. Yeah. And make sure to go to the little events tab at the top left there of the server and click on the interested for lore if that's something you're interested in. Personally, I'm super interested in it, but I'm a bit of a
and
lore fiend.
subscribe and hit that MFN bell.
But yeah, it's been a great time. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful evening.
Just so you guys know, Reyna will be coming out on